Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving from the other bird. This is the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman, along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. Donny, a great show today. We'll recap the previous week in St. Mary's athletics, and then during the interview portion, we'll welcome in a man who needs no introduction. Bob Biebel will be on the interview segment today.
Yeah, they call him Jack, and I'll tell you what, I gotta tell these people, they have absolutely no idea what I have to put up with on this show. Off camera, we were talking, Bob Biebel was talking a little bit about his class that he had, and talking about some of the things that they do, and he said one of the exercises that they did is they put people in groups, and they were talking about what would happen if you were trapped in a room with these people and someone threw a grenade on the ground. Biebel said he'd throw me on the grenade, and you said I'd jump on the grenade so I could get away from Don. That's what I have to put up with here. So I tell you, it's already been a tough day.
And there's plenty more where that came from. We'll get to that in about 12 minutes or so here on the Cardinals Nest. But first, let's recap the previous week in St. Mary's athletics. We'll begin, Donny, on this Thanksgiving show with men's basketball, because the men's basketball team is off to a 2-0 start in regular season play. And their latest win, victory over Luther College out of Decorah, Iowa, came primarily because of an outstanding defensive effort. And we always focus on the scoring, and we're going to see some great highlights here from the Luther game. But it was the defense, I thought, that really stood out in that win over the Norsemen.
Absolutely, a 67-59 win, and really a game that St. Mary's dominated from start to finish. We're in control the whole way, and you're right, defensively, they're playing outstanding. It was really fun to get to see them play on their home court for the first time this year. And, you know, I was very impressed. I talked to Coach Landrum today before the taping, and I told him, I says, I was really impressed with the performance of your team. Obviously, we know a lot about Lucas Holland and Will Wright and Chris Palmer, but some of the other guys that have played and have played very well, Michael Burfine, and to me, really, one of the unsung heroes right now is Gary Seifert. Gary's averaging 12 points a game through 2 games. And is playing very, very well. He's become a force, and really that fourth scorer that they can almost count on daily to get double-figure scoring. So you know, to me, Gary's played an outstanding role. And if you look at the way they're playing right now, the biggest thing that they're doing is they're getting out ahead early. You know, you look at their stats, and they've outscored their first 2 opponents 72-45 in the first half. You can take a lead into halftime and have that momentum. Obviously, that's always a great thing.
Yeah, in that Luther game, they went on an 18-2 run. Of course, Bob Biebel, who we'll have on later, is an assistant coach. And, you know, based on this video here, I think he took some of this. It looks like an assistant coach's point of view here. But that 18-2 run against Luther was huge. And, you know, guys like Lucas and Will, they don't have to feel the pressure of doing so much, as you pointed out. And Lucas, and they both contributed, as we see here, but in a different way. It's getting everyone involved, and that keeps everyone happy and into the games mentally.
It's almost one of those things where you're picking a different person that becomes the leader for that game. And obviously the Luther game, Chris Palmer had a fantastic performance with 23 points. Will scored 10. Yeah, Gary Seifert had 11 as well. So, you know, they're getting scoring from a lot of different people. And you know, we can ask Coach Biebel in that segment, but you know what? When you've got 3, 4, or 5 different players that you can get the ball to, and they can put the ball in the basket, it's pretty tough to defend that. In years past, Will and Lucas were on their own. Last year, they added Chris Palmer to that mix, and there were 3 of them. Now you add Gary Seifert, Michael Burfine, Ryan Walkenfuss. You know, the list goes on and on. It's making them a much tougher team to defend.
And we're going to see now with the schedule that we have on the screen here how all of this transfers over to conference play as they open at home on Wednesday, December 1st against Augsburg, and then travel to McAllister. I know the team is excited and the fans are starting to get into it too, looking ahead to conference play.
Yeah, obviously it's a great tune-up to have those 2 games and to be 2-0 and head into your conference season with an unbeaten record and playing very well with a lot of confidence. And again, playing at home, they get to play at home against Augsburg on Wednesday, and you know, to play in front of your home fans is a great thing, and we had an outstanding crowd on Saturday night against Luther, and I know the guys feed off of that. There's no doubt about that. We talk about that when we talked about the volleyball team and them playing at home, and you had all those basketball guys that were there cheering them on. And really, right now, what's happening is it's turning over. Now the basketball team is playing, and some of the other teams are coming there and helping out and giving their support, and it's a lot of fun. There's a buzz around campus about men's basketball right now.
And I would say that the same thing is true for women's basketball. They just returned from a trip out to college Colorado at the Colorado College Tip-Off Classic, and a big win over the host school there, 62-38. We'll talk about that. A disappointing loss, though, to Hardin-Simmons, given the fact that they had a big lead early in that one, Donnie, and then Hardin-Simmons, right at halftime, started to mount a comeback, and then it just continued into the overtime period.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Pearson after when they got back from Colorado Springs, and the Hardin-Simmons game was a bit disappointing because they did have a lead, a very big lead. Hardin-Simmons used a 25-1 run to end the first half and begin the second half to pull them back into that game. And unfortunately, St. Mary's gave up a couple baskets late in the game and then fell in overtime 74-72. But for them to start 2-1 heading into conference play is also very good. And you know, it's interesting. We talk about 2-0 starts. St. Mary's women started out 2-0, and that's the first time for them since 2004, 2005 that they've begun a season 2-0. So getting off on the right foot is really certainly a positive. Now, unlike the men, the women have finished their non-conference season, and from here on out, it's all conference games beginning on December 1st against Augsburg. So you know it's conference play, and off they go, and hopefully they can continue that momentum. Right now, both teams have built up some great strong momentum, and you know, like we talked with the guys, Jess Stone's playing very well for the women. Jess Miller, we expected to play well, and she's obviously doing what everybody's expected. Sherry Kulig's playing very well. So again, it's one of those things where the more people they can get involved, and the more people that they can have a part in their success, the better they're going to be.
From what you have heard and talked to Coach Mandy Pearson, talk about the play of Renee Pecorino a little bit. She doesn't always show up a lot in the scoring column, but last year that wasn't her role, and it looks like her role is to distribute to everybody else to score.
Absolutely, and right now that's what she's been doing. You know, is getting the ball to the people that need to get it, and it depends on the game and the situation and who she's getting the ball to. She's making great decisions with the ball and doing a very nice job of getting to it. Brittany Begrowitz has had an outstanding first 3 games. She's averaging over 7 points a game. And again, as we talk, you know, if Renee can get the ball to the person who's got the hot hand, or you know, the person that's open, that's what needs to happen. They have to have that person that's going to run the floor, and right now Renee's doing a very good job of that.
All right, so good luck to the men's and women's basketball teams as they look forward to conference play coming up in early December here. Now let's go to men's hockey action, and they just came off of a weekend series against Hamlin. 2 losses, but we're going to focus, Donnie, on the Friday game because it was at the SMU Arena. We have some video highlights here. That was one of the best men's hockey games I've seen at St. Mary's in a couple of years. High-paced, high-intensity effort, and we're going to see some of the action here. Hamlin is a very good team. There we see the teddy bear toss, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Hamlin, an excellent team. I thought St. Mary's skated right with them, except for one period, the second period, when the Pipers scored 4 goals and ended up winning that one 4-3.
Yeah, there's a reason that Hamlin's ranked number 5 in the latest USCHO.com poll, and they're very good. They're fast, they're physical, and you know, St. Mary's skated right with them on Friday night, and like you said, you know, except for that second period where they really did have quite a letdown and gave up those 4 goals, went into the third period down 4-2, scored a goal, and you know, just couldn't quite get that equalizer. But you know, it was a solid performance. If you look at St. Mary's right now, they're 3-5, which already is a solid improvement over last year. And 3 of their 5 losses are by a goal. And so you know, you take a break here or there, now all of a sudden, you know, that 3-5 record is 6-2, and we're talking about a team that's probably inching towards being ranked in that USCHO poll. So there's that fine line between an outstanding start and a very good start. And you know, I think that they're proving against teams like Hamlin, against teams like Gustavus, against teams like St. Olaf, which they beat 3-1, that they can play with some of the top teams in the conference, in the country. And you know, it's going to be a continued battle that they've got to show up and play at their top level every single game. And unfortunately, that was the problem on Saturday. I talked to Coach Moore after they lost to Hamlin 6-2 in the second game, and he said, we just didn't show up. We didn't get off the bus ready to play, and we never were able to get into our game. And for St. Mary's to be successful, they've got to be at the top of their game every single time they step on the ice.
Well, and they don't actually have another home game again until January 14th, I think it is. And we see coming up here in a couple of weekends, not this weekend, but the next, they'll be at the Milwaukee School of Engineering for a couple of non-conference games.
Yeah, and it's interesting. A lot of people don't know a lot about Milwaukee School of Engineering. The only thing you really need to know about the Raiders right now is they are also ranked in that top 15. They're number 10 right now. And then the following Friday, they go to Marion, a team that's also ranked in that top 15. So right now, the schedule is extremely tough. They play their next 3 games are all non-conference, but they're against nationally ranked teams, so it's going to be a huge test for St. Mary's, and hopefully they can keep playing well. Right now, they're getting some outstanding performance from a number of different people. Kevin Wentland had a goal in both games against Hamlin. He now has 5 goals on the season. Last year, St. Mary's leading scorer for the entire 25 games had 5 goals, so Kevin's already tied that. So obviously, he's doing a great job. Chase Marshall, coming back from injury, was paired up with on Kevin's line with Austin Belko and had 3 points in his first game back, so he's playing very well. Obviously, a great spark that he added there. Andy Scheib in goals, playing extremely well. So there's getting a lot of good performances. Right now, they just have to make sure that they put their best performance on the ice.
And Donny, in women's hockey action this past weekend, the Cardinals haven't been scoring a lot of goals, but they aren't losing games either. This is Saturday's game against Hamlin. Friday night, they ended up tying the Pipers 1-1 and then snuck out a 2-1 win on Saturday.
Yeah, and Hamlin's a good team. They're sneaky good, and I think that on paper it was one of those that you'd think that St. Mary's should have won pretty easily, but watching the game on Saturday, Hamlin's a very good team, and the important thing for Coach Manor, and we talked about it last week after the Concordia series, is they got 3 of 4 possible conference points. So right now they've got 6 points. It's interesting that both 2 conference series now so far have went the same way. They tied on Friday night, they came back and they won on Saturday. But again, the important thing for St. Mary's right now is they've got 3 of a possible 4 points out of their first 2 weekend series, and that's what you need. You know, as long as you're getting points and you're not giving away points that maybe you should have, you're going to be in the right spot.
Yeah. So again, here we see their schedule. They've got St. Kate's at home coming up on December 3rd, and then December 4th they'll travel to St. Kate's. And St. Kate's 4-0 in the conference right now, so a big weekend series again in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Coach Manor's already talking about it and gearing up. St. Kate's has a very outstanding and explosive performer in Michaela Michelson. They've got a great goaltender in Mel Gurton, so it's going to be a tough test for them. But early in the season, it's a big showdown, and if St. Mary's can come away again, getting some points from St. Catherine, it's going to be a huge boost for them as they get into second semester.
Well, Donnie, last week on the show here, we had on Eric Lindquist, the swimming and diving coach for St. Mary's, and they spent a weekend, Friday and Saturday, at McAllister. Friday it was a dual meet, the Invitational on Saturday. The Invitational went a little bit better than the dual.
Yeah, Coach Lindquist was happy with the individual performances on both days, but I think he would have rather seen a couple of W's there next to the results in the dual meet. He didn't think they swam quite as well as maybe they could have, but he was very pleased with the way they swam in the Invitational the following day, with the men taking 3rd and the women taking 5th. So it was a good weekend all in all, and it was that, as we talked last week, it was that good experience of a Friday night, Saturday kind of competition as they gear up towards the MIAC in February, where they've got to go 3 days in a row. Mark Ross on the guys' side had a great weekend. Brandon Mattis had a solid weekend. On the women's side, Anna Smarin did very well. Lisa Lucas did very well. Our diver, Liz Flynn, did a nice job. So there's, as we talk about all these sports, they're getting a lot of solid performances. Unfortunately, Friday they couldn't put enough of those performances together to give them enough points to take care of the Scots.
All right, so stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. When we come back, we'll bring in Bob Biebel to talk more St. Mary's athletics. That's coming up next here on HBC.
Hey, I'm Buddha, inviting you to join me for a brand new show here on HBC TV 25 called Real Attractions. We'll show you trailers from the latest movies to hit theaters and also what's being released on DVD that week. Plus, you have a chance to win free movies by registering at my.hbci.com/realattractions. But you gotta watch to win. So check out Real Attractions here on HBC TV 25, hosted by yours truly, which is why we didn't call it Real Attractive.
Nothing gets you ready for game day like Vikings Game Plan. Every Sunday, join host Paul Allen, along with head coach Brad Childress, as they break down the X's and O's. Plus, log on to foxsportsnorth.com and click on the Vikings tab for even more Vikings content. We are your headquarters for the Vikings, Sundays at 10:30 and online all the time. We are Fox Sports North.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street, Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman along with Donny Nadeau. And Donny, we welcome in the biggest turkey of them all. Bob Biebel joins us here on the Cardinals Nest, the Thanksgiving edition of the Cardinals Nest. Bob, thanks for being on the show. You've been on many times before, but in different capacities. Today we're just going to talk about St. Mary's athletics in general. And Donny, I'm sure you've got a few zingers.
Oh,
for
no,
your
I'm
good
going to be
friend
very
Bob
nice
here.
to Coach Biebel here.
Well, he's not going to be nice to you.
I know.
From what I
Unfortunately,
understand,
that's the problem. And Bob, like Dean said, you've had a number of different capacities. The way I'm looking at today is you're more the fan. And obviously, you've spent a lot of time with the men's basketball program, and I want to start there and talk a little bit about what you're seeing with this team, because obviously there is a lot of excitement on campus about St. Mary's men's basketball. And if you could just tell me why there's that excitement.
Well, I think the first thing comes down to, I think there's quality kids on this team, or people. You hate to call them kids, but these guys have been around for a long time. I think they're well respected within the community. You got some kids performing in Blue Angel. We got other kids, on baseball team. There's kind of, they're friends with a lot of people, and I think that's, people say they want these guys to succeed. And I think the players feel that a little bit. Secondly, I think, they're older. I think this team is a little bit more mature, than some of the other teams. And I think there's a business aspect. They're approaching this as, hey, we got to get down to business, get things done. And I was very impressed the week before the Luther game with the preparation that was done. Coach Landrum, both Kevin and, Todd, they put together some great practices, and the kids just bought into it and really prepared well. And I think that showed up in the first half with the defensive effort. And I think that's, Coach Landrum said, we want to be better defensively. And I think the first two games, we did do a better job with that.
Well, I was going to touch on that because, sometimes you put in the preparation. It doesn't always transfer to the game. When that happens, that leaves the players thinking, what am I preparing for? I may as well just go out and wing it. It's nice to see that preparation pay off in the form of a pretty good victory, because they know then that preparation, that studying, and the practice that goes into it will pay off.
Oh, no question. The carryover between practice and game was great. There weren't situations. The kids, they read the situations. We saw this, and then they executed, and that was great, and they had some success. And then there was a lot of different guys that contributed. When our two big scorers really don't score, and to still, be in good situations, that's a blessing. I think that will help in the future.
It seems like we talked men's basketball, but really the entire winter seasons have kind of kicked off the same, in that in all four of the team sports, it's been a season of, we want to make a statement. It's a year that people seem to want to make a statement. And I think that so far all four teams have. You look at the men's hockey team starting 2-0 in the conference, the women's hockey team being 5 wins already through 8 games, the two basketball teams starting out 2-0. It seems like there's a real change in St. Mary's athletics right now. Yeah,
I think there's a good positive feeling. I've had the opportunity to see 2 of the hockey games, and I was really impressed with the way they skated. And more importantly, I'm not the hockey aficionado or that type of thing. I do enjoy watching it. But the one thing that I saw is that they're kind of a team, and they really are grinding it out. The games that I saw, they're out there fighting through things and making a statement. I saw the Olaf game and then the Hamlin game, and despite the fact they lost, the energy was there. Guys are playing for each other, and I think they didn't seem like a bunch of individuals. They seemed like they were the Cardinals.
with your office now over in development on really what we call the other side of campus, what's the atmosphere like over there? Do you see do you see people talking about St. Mary's athletics over there?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I came into work Monday, I had about 4 or 5 people say, "Hey, oh, that was a great game on Saturday. You guys really played well. It was fun to go there. We're going to come back again." And I think that's something that's, there's a buzz about it. Even the hockey with the teddy bears and that kind of thing. And there's some excitement on campus, and I think that's great for us. And I think success breeds success, and I think, the more enthusiasm also, when all of a sudden people are going to the games, it's the thing to do, and more people come. And I think that helps the team, and it's very supportive. Going back to basketball being good people, I think that's one of the things that happens with the hockey team. The more respected they are on campus with other things, the more people are willing to show up and say, hey, I want to support these guys, these are nice guys, that type of thing.
How important, Bob, and you've worked a little bit with the women's basketball program, how important was that trip for them to get away as a team early in the season? You talk about building team chemistry and that team bonding. A trip like that's got to be a big bonus.
I think that is. I had the opportunity this year to help out a couple days a week when I'm free with the women's program, and those girls are just hard workers. And the thing that impresses me about them is they work very hard and they want to do well. And I think Coach Pearson is pretty happy. I know, obviously, she would have liked to have gotten the second game out in Colorado, but I think the one thing that a game like that does is it shows you what you need to work on. And I think there was lessons learned in that game that, it's a good time to learn it now, because when conference comes around, and that's the ultimate goal, to make the playoffs in the MIAC, I think that game will help them. Decisions. There's freshmen played, and still players who maybe didn't play that much last year now are getting quality minutes, and all of a sudden it's real life, and they have to make decisions, and I think that game will help them be better decision makers down the road.
Bob, you talked about the men's team being more mature. I think the women's team is probably a parallel to that, because they've got mostly returning players back, not a lot of new players that they've had to insert into the starting lineup.
Right, and I think those players have taken leadership roles, and I think the other players really look up to them, and Sherry and Jess and Kim, they've done a really good job of leading that team and forming some good bonds.
One of the things that I've been looking at with the men's and women's basketball teams would be some of these non-conference wins that they've had. Bob, do you see this transferring over into conference play? You've been around the conference for a long time, and I know certainly on the men's side, those goals a little bit better perhaps. The goal is to get in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think that's the long-term goal. I think sometimes we make the mistake of just saying, it's playoffs.
Right.
It's the next game.
Yeah.
I really think if that's the approach, and I know people have that on the, we want to make the playoffs, but really the way that's going to happen is by winning the next game. And the more we think of that and concentrate on that, and I know it's kind of coach speak, but at the same time, it's the reality.
The truth, yeah.
It's the reality. It's like everyday life. You start focusing on all those things that are far off, and you kind of forget the moment. And we have to live in the moment, and we have to play well each practice, each game. It's a hard conference. It's a tough conference, and we got to be ready every night. And I think one of the things in the past that has happened is, there's been inconsistency, and we have to learn to be more consistent, from an athletic standpoint, not only in men's basketball, but women's basketball, men's and women's hockey, same thing. Consistency is what happens.
One of the things that a lot of coaches have told me, especially, there's no denying the teams have struggled in the past, and we're working to change that, and obviously the starts have been a great to doing that. A lot of coaches will say these guys need to learn how to win. You're a former coach. How do you teach your players how to win?
That it's a good question, because winning breeds winning and that type of thing. So I think it's every day in practice. Just having success, and I think sometimes not talking so much about winning, but just getting the job done and doing what you're taught to do. Having poise. The ability to do the job as you are taught to do the job, no matter what the circumstances, and just going out there and competing on a regular basis. The wins will take care of itself. It's when we start becoming individuals and that type of thing that we're going to struggle.
Bob, as you were off listening to our first segment here, does it ever occur to you the major differences in some of these sports? We talk about men's and women's basketball, very much a team sport. Same thing with hockey. But then we go to swimming and diving, and there it's much more about individual performances. That's got to be a different mindset for a coach.
It is. But at the same time, you know, what's good for the individual, it also needs to be good for the team, you know, and it's like those sports, the better you are as an individual race, that's going to contribute to the team total. So, you know, everybody has their part. And sometimes in those team competitions, finishing 4th instead of 5th is a big thing. And so it's going out there and doing your best, each player knowing what their role is and that type of thing, contributing to the team goal.
So should the Vikes have fired Childress?
I think it had to be done. You know, after watching that, you know, the Packer game, them fighting on the sidelines, it was like it's something that just had to be done. You know, as a Bear fan, I wish they would have kept him. You know, we were always hoping that, you know, the bottom line is, you know, the Vikings still had Tyson, they still had Childress, so we knew we had a chance.
Right.
You know, now I don't know. They hired a Bear.
Right.
You know, Leslie Frazier, and you know, I'm convinced that if Leslie Frazier doesn't get hurt, you know, the Bears win 2 or 3 Super Bowls. You know, because they ran the reverse play in the Super Bowl. He blows out his knee, he's done. They never really replaced him in '86 and '87, and they were short. You know, had Leslie Frazier not got hurt, you know, we would have been talking about the greatest NFL dynasty of all time, the Chicago Bears.
You will get along quite nicely with our producer, John Hines. So, but Bob Biebel, everyone. Bob, thanks for being on the show again, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Great, you too, guys. And, you know, we did. You know, I came here, I guess you guys tried to stuff me, but we did all right. So.
We did great. All right, stay tuned. Donny and I will wrap up this Thanksgiving Cardinals Nest right after this here on HBC.
Sometimes life isn't about doing the popular thing or even the cost-effective thing. Many times it's simply about doing the right thing. When HBC did not receive the grant needed to construct a network in Minneska, we were disappointed. But we immediately went to the drawing board, and we are going to be delivering what we promised. Sometimes it's all about making the right decision. So welcome, Minneska.
Vikings Weekly is your exclusive pass to all things purple. Join host Ann Carroll as she takes you inside the locker room and outside the lines with both current and former Vikings. Plus, log on to foxsportsnorth.com and click on the Vikings tab for even more exclusive Vikings content. We are your headquarters for the Vikings, Sundays at 10 and online all the time. We are Fox Sports North.
And we're back to wrap up the Cardinals Nest. Encourage you to go see the Nutcracker at Page Theater, St. Mary's University. The times of the performance is 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, December 2nd, and it's through Saturday, December 4th. It'll be at 3 p.m. on Sunday, December 5th. And so there you see the prices and where you can get tickets. Also, a Palestinian woman who made world headlines in 2009 will be at St. Mary's University. The public is invited to hear her presentation. That'll be at the Filio Recital Hall in the St. Mary's Page Theater at 7 p.m. on December 1st. Finally, you're encouraged to see the all-campus art exhibit. It's at the Lillian Davis Hogan Galleries, and it's through the rest of the semester here. That's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching. Happy Thanksgiving from HBC.